Have you ever had one of those moments that you're waiting and waiting for, and then the moment comes and it's like, holy crap, this is really happening? I've got that moment right now. Greetings folks, Jason McNamara here in Tokyo. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and if you haven't, nice to kind of meet you, which I'm not really meeting you, but thanks for watching the video. So I am Jason. I work in video, I am a musician, as you can see around the room, and I live in Tokyo, hence the title of the opening card. Now, I first saw, as we all did in the third quarter of last year, we saw that the M1 had been announced, and I was like, damn, this is cool. I'm a video editor. For disclosure, I do work on the help desk for MotionVFX, so if you send in a message to MotionVFX for help with the plugins, I'm possibly one of the people that's going to be helping you. I do a lot of Zoom calls with customers, do a lot of training on how to use Final Cut Pro, as well as, of course, how to use the plugins. That's really my job. And problem solving and troubleshooting and all that stuff. And so when I saw the M1 was being released, I was like, yes, this is awesome. I went, no, these machines aren't big enough for me. And then the October 26th release of the M1 Max, which I went out and bought an M1 Max. Now, I've got for you here so that you can see my two computers set up. So this is my old one hooked up to a 32-inch monitor, and this is the M1 Max, brand new. And I'm screen recording on both of them right now, and I'm recording on my Canon, and I'm doing audio through my system. So that's how this is all set up. Sorry about the messy desk in the background, but I need to clean it up. Haven't done it yet. So the deal is I'm going to run what is pretty much the heaviest plugin that MotionVFX sells, which is mO2. Now, for those of you who don't own mO2 or know what it is, mO2 is essentially a 3D graphics rendering program, which you can design up cool things. You can use the templates that are built in, and it's really cool because it's directly in Final Cut Pro. You don't have to use anything like Unreal Engine, which is great stuff, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to import it from a separate thing. It actually works natively inside of Final Cut. Now, I could be wrong because maybe Unreal Engine does, but I've never used it. I'm just going with the name. That's the first one that popped into my head. As you can see on screen, so right now you're looking at my brand new M1 Max. I bought the 16-inch, obviously, M1 Max, 64 gig of unified memory, and I also have the 4 terabyte storage. I wasn't going to buy the 8 terabyte because frankly I don't really need that much storage on board, and it's just too expensive, and it was very hard for me to afford this, but I've been working my butt off for a while to make this happen, so I'm glad that I got it. Then over on the other side, this is my Intel machine that I've had since I bought this in February of 2019. It says 2018 because I guess that's when the model was from. It's a 2.9 gigahertz 6-core Corei9, 32 gig of RAM, which is still pretty juicy. It's a good machine. It had a 4 gigabyte graphics card. I'm not saying it's bad, but it was good. But it still can't keep up with this thing. And I'm going to do a side-by-side test right now, which I haven't pre-planned, I haven't pre-practiced. I just got this thing all set up. I've just been so busy I didn't get time to do it all yesterday. As it is, I put Isotope RX9 on there and a few other things I'm going to need on there. And plus I put on all of my Final Cut Pro plugins from MotionVFX that, as I said, I work for. And that's 230 or 40 odd plugins, so it's a lot to load in there, and that took quite a while, I have to say. So what we're going to do is I've got 2 projects set up here, and I'm going to go to mO2. So let's do this on the Intel first. So let's find mO2 in the list. There it is there, and I'm just going to scroll through, and I'm going to take a simple one to start with. So let's go with the one that says people there, title number 11. Now over onto the M1, go to the browser here. I already found mO2 at least, and okay, there it is right there. Okay, wow, cool. That actually worked out nicely. I just had a quick scroll through these just to make sure I had everything there. Now let's double click on them both simultaneously so that we can get them to drop onto the timeline. So here we go. All right, great. So they're both opened up nice and quick. Let's do Shift Z on both of them so we can see the full timeline. Let's bring the playhead back to the start. That's very normal, and we're probably going to get that on the Intel as well. Oh, sorry, on the M1. Let's have a look. It had to load the scene, but it didn't. Yeah, there you go. I knew the beach ball was coming. It's just, so the beach ball here is just a part of what happens with mO2 as it opens things up. So now let's close, let's close the browser on both. Command Control 1, folks, you got to know your shortcuts. And let's just hit play and see what happens. Wow, it's a majorly different viewing experience. Wow, the Intel was so much slower. That was crazy. All right, let's go Command Z out of them and get them both off the timeline. Interesting. All right, let's just hit delete and get rid of them. There we go. All right, so they're both off the timeline. Now let's reopen the browser, which is hard to do because I've got a Japanese keyboard on that one and a American keyboard. I'm trying to get used to the American keyboard. It's a bit of a challenge. So now let's choose something which is a bit more complicated here. Let's go to, let me see. Oh, this one down the bottom here. How complicated is this? So it's just got to load in the idea of the scene. Now, by the way, I am obviously using the M1 under the Rosetta workaround method. So that's definitely going to be something to take into consideration here. All right. Now this one's cool because this one's got quite a bit going on within the scene. So this is actually a really good one to check out what's going to happen. So let's double click on them. I actually forgot about this. I used this once for Strandberg, which is a guitar company, and Ola didn't actually use it in the end because he thought it was too busy for his company's image. So Shift Z down there and go to the Intel once it loads up. To be fair, the M1 had the preview going on before because I'd already gone over it. So we'll double click on that and Shift Z. All right. Now let's go back to the start and let's hit, oh sorry, hang on, let's close the browser so we've got more viewing space. Okay, there's that one. I did start the M1 just a little bit earlier. Okay, all right, that's done. Come on, spinning beach ball. There we go. All right, now let's hit play. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, the Intel hasn't even moved. The Intel's kind of catching up. The M1 is pretty incredible considering it's not even rendered on the timeline. I have background render turned off on both machines, by the way. Wow. So now consider, this is ridiculous. Considering that I'm running this under Rosetta, which a lot of people are, I don't want to use Rosetta. I get messages on this all the time. Sorry to be insulting to customers, but seriously, if you want to use an M1 with things that aren't natively compatible, you've got to use Rosetta. It's just the way it is. Apple set up Rosetta. That's not something we did. That was an Apple thing. I say we as in MotionVFX. I'm not here as a MotionVFX staff member. I'm here as Jason, the YouTube guy, because that's what this is. By the way, just quickly insert here because I just touched my hand on heart thing. I want to thank my friend Scott Downs in Queensland for buying me this t-shirt. He gave me this years ago. And it's very, very, very appropriate considering how much money I just laid out on this Mac yesterday. So I thought the irony of that was wearing this t-shirt today. So thanks, Scotty. I appreciate the shirt, mate. Now, back to this. The differences in the way they play is just insane. Let's go back to the start of each timeline and just click on the clips. And I'm going to render out those clips. Now, the shortcut, if you don't know, is Control R will render selection. You can go up to the menu and find it. It's actually under Modify, and then it's the very bottom option, which is Render Selection. So let's get ready with the fingers, and both of them Control R, bang, done. Let's see how long it takes to render both of these. So far, they look to be... Hang on. Well, actually, we'll give it a chance. Here's some background music of my own. Okay, so we're basically up to 10 seconds on the M1, and we're up to about 6. It was about 6.3 or something on the Intel at the same time. By the way, I also have to point out that I have this project on the M1 as a 4K project, and I was being a little bit generous to the Intel, and I set it as a 1080 timeline. So there's a difference there too, just for the record. I kind of wanted to bog down the M1 a little bit extra and give the Intel a fighting chance. So the M1's finished. The Intel is up to, it was about 16 seconds just then when I turned my head, out of the 24 seconds worth of time for this one. And the Intel is done. All right, so now they've both rendered. And if we just go back to the very start of the playhead, make sure that's very start. Okay, and we're going to hit play. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Now I'm trying to look at two at once here. So when they're rendered, the Intel does seem to be playing quite well too. Now, what we're going to check here is that ending scene. So let's go and make a slight adjustment here. So let's go up to the ending scene where it says MotionVFX, and let's find where this is. So it's going to be under text or something. Let's have a look. It's going to be under... This is what happens when you don't pre-plan. Custom text. Now, is this number 8? Turn it off and see. Yeah, there you go. So it says MotionVFX there. That was lucky. And let's change this to M1 Max because that's the machine it's on. And let's go to this one here. Let's change this one so now we know where it is. So we'll click on there. And we'll go to custom text. Go to number 8. We'll highlight that and we'll call this Intel chip. Alright, so now if we go back to the start of that section after having just made that one little change. Oh, okay, so it really comes in from quite a bit earlier, maybe because I've got it highlighted. Of course, because the lights aren't up yet. So let's just do it from, let's say 15 seconds exactly. Take the other one to 15 seconds exactly. And let's hit play. 3, 2, 1, play. Unrendered. Wow, the M1 is just killing it. Okay, so even after doing a simple text change, I didn't even have to render the M1. I will give the Intel props because sometimes when you do changes within the mO2 plugin, it runs a bit slower. That time it actually did reasonably well, so my Intel's having a kind of a good day. Keep in mind, 4K on the M1, 1080 on the Intel. Let's just try one more thing here, just to check something. So let's remove both of those, and let's open up our browsers again, and let's go into the expansions. All right, so let's use the Cyberpunk. So we'll click on that. I should have done them at the same time, damn it. Okay, all right, they're good. So let's double click on them. And now let's go back to the start of the playhead. These are 15-second videos. And let's just close our browser so we've got more viewing space. I'm still not used to the keyboard difference. Oh, hang on. Sorry, it's loading up scenes. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so how's this going for time? All right, so loading the scene seems to be about the same from my eyes. I'm glad I clicked them at the same time. Oh, the M1's a little bit faster there. But again, this is because of mO2 being run on the M1 under the Rosetta workaround. Okay, M1 finished. Intel still thinking. Not bad. I don't know what part of the memory is doing that. Again, I'm not an engineer. I'm on a help desk. That's a bit of a different situation. But it's nice for me to do experiments like this to find out what's going to happen. Let's taking a while though. Like the M1's all pretty and done, and I'm having troubles getting the Intel to even close the browser now. There we go. Alright. And we're at the start of the scene. Wow, it looks so different between both. Oh, sorry, that's why, because I'm on the wrong frame. Hey, that makes a difference. Alright. And let's just play these back. Let's go full screen and play them back and see what happens without rendering anything. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, there's a big difference. Wow. So let's go back and let's render these two. So we'll click on the files and let's do Control R on both. 3, 2, 1, go. Just a quick tip for those of you out there who maybe don't know this. If it's rendering something like this, don't move your mouse around on the timeline while it's doing it, because it'll slow it down. At least that's been what I've found, especially with the automatic background render that you should not be using. Don't use background render, it's terrible. Why? Okay, here's the deal with background render. 1, it uses a lot of data up for that. 2, as you make changes and the automatic background render is running, it will continue to keep the version that it did and also keep the new version that you've made. And if you make 5, 10 changes, whatever, this is one of the biggest flaws with Final Cut, is that it will just keep a log of all of this data. Now, if somebody has experience with another platform, let's say Premiere Pro, which is always the fight of I use Premiere, I use Final Cut, whatever. If you're an editor, you got a tool that you like, that's all that really matters. End of the day. I prefer Final Cut. I do multicam concert video work. By the way, the M1's finished, the Intel's still going. But I do multi-camera concert video work with like 20, 30, sometimes 40 cameras, music videos and stuff as well, and I just love the workflow within Final Cut, so that's why I use it. But my point is, if you leave the background render on, you're going to have all this data accumulate that you don't want to have. If you don't know what you're doing and you've just automatically left on background render and your hard drive gets filled up, that's chances are where it is. That and a few other little things, but just don't use background render built into the computer. Do manual renders only when you need it, like what I'm doing right now, because I want to be able to see perfect smoothness. So we're ready to hit play full screen. Let's hit play full screen. 3, 2, 1, go. Wow. What's the story there? So on the M1, there's a flash that we don't see on the Intel. That's interesting. This could be a Rosetta thing. It could be something in the scene. I'm not sure. Let's get out of the full screen and click on here and see if we click over there. It's a plane, which is a doorway or something. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. So that plane there is emitting a massive light on here. And you can even see there's a lens flare and everything. I have no idea. Anyway, apparently we're finding something that does it on the M1 that it doesn't do it on the Intel. Who knows? At the end of this test, alright, I am really blown away with the performance of pre-rendered and then post-rendered as well. I mean, the screen is just immaculate. It's one hell of a machine. I've got a lot more testing to do. I just wanted to do a first quick getting it out there video with Final Cut and see how it renders with a really heavy graphics plugin. By the way, I have to tell you right now, if you don't know mO2, it will never be compatible to the M1 system. MotionVFX is bringing out mO3 sometime next year, is in 2022. When that's coming out exactly, we don't know yet. So keep your eyes out for that. I do need to do some M-Tracker 3D testing as well and see how that comes up. I've got a whole lot of things to do. I've just got so much I want to do with this M1 Max. So I'm going to try and get some more videos like this out. Hopefully they'll be a bit more concise over time. Please tell me in the comments, do you like the fact that this is pretty close to a one-take video? Would you prefer it to be a faster thing because of the way I'm presenting it? My voice might just get annoying for some people. I don't know. If you've got constructive things to say, please, by all means, bring them on. I just hope you guys all love your M1s as much as what I'm blown away by this thing, and I've literally just touched it. That's all I've done. I haven't really done any intensive work yet. I do have a music video that I've been working on for a bit. which has 40 camera angles stacked up in the multicam editor, which I'm going to see on one of these videos how the rendering process goes of rendering out exactly the same project. I've also got some tracking tests to do with the new tracker as well. So man, there's a lot to do. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed something in this video. Please give it a like, because I appreciate the likes. I'm almost at 10,000 subs, so that'd be nice. Not that I really work hard on this channel a lot of the time. I'm too busy just working. And thanks for watching. Thanks for your attention. I appreciate you guys a lot for watching. Rock on.